Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching our videos and our podcasts and keeping it real in coastal North Carolina. We haven't done a podcast in a couple of weeks because Misty and I have been running around like crazy people, and we've been kind of busy specifically with something we're going to talk about today that you might find really, really interesting. I am so pleased to have a handful of guests with us today that I'm just really looking forward to introducing. And I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves, and then we're going to kind of get into the topic today, which is a work first mastermind that this group of people have been doing together for a couple of months now. And I can't wait to share it, but we're going to go right into it and introduce everybody. And we're going to start with you, Misty.
Hey guys. Well, as you all know, I'm Misty Sun. I'm with Blue Chip Real Estate, and I've been in real estate since January of this year. And that's pretty much it.
It's a little bit more than just it, Misty, but thanks for introducing yourself. Misty's marketplace is Brunswick County and Columbus County, North Carolina, coastal counties in the area. And let's move on to our next guest, Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel Withers, and I am with the Jim Allen Group of Caldwell Banker, Howard Perry, and Walston, and I serve the greater Raleigh area. And this August will mark my 9 years of being a real estate agent.
Wow. I didn't even know that. Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
And Jennifer.
Well, I'm Jennifer Franklin. I am with eXp Realty, and I'm also in the greater Raleigh area. However, I mostly cover Johnston counties and eastern Wake County and Harnett counties, and I'll go a little further east as well. I've been in the business for 11 years in August, so right there with you.
Awesome. Jennifer, so glad to have you, and Rachel and Misty. My name is Bob Persepi. I'm the broker owner of Blue Chip Real Estate in Southport, North Carolina. My marketplace is southeastern coastal North Carolina. We cover the New Hanover County and the Brunswick County market, and Columbus County as well. So we've got kind of a broad market. I've been in the real estate business for closing in on 40 years. I've been around for a while. So I've actually been a Realtor member for 30 of those years. And so, I'm the old guy in the group, and I'm surrounded by, these lovely ladies who have been so helpful and so instrumental in my business. And I'm just really looking forward to sharing something that we've been doing. We just celebrated 90 days about a week ago. So we had this 90-day, I call it an experiment, and I'd love to share it with our viewers because what we think is important about what we're doing can be applied to so many other different businesses, specifically, of course, to real estate professionals. But this is something that you may find helpful if you're a loan officer or if you have any kind of sales team that, you might want to put together a group like ours. And we have a very interesting name for it. So I'm going to share with you how we developed this name. So many years ago, I was heavily, heavily influenced by, the guy who's really credited with being like the first national real estate trainer. And, there's some argument about that, of course, but Floyd Wickman is actually credited with being one of the first real estate trainers in the history of our industry. And prior to Floyd Wickman, there really wasn't, really professional trainers or coaches prior to Floyd. And I had the opportunity for many, many years to sit at Floyd's feet. I've been personally coached by Floyd. We are great friends. Basically everything I've ever learned about real estate came through some kind of Floyd Wickman teaching. And one of the first things that Floyd would really express to his students, which I always thought was the most fundamental, basic practice of real estate, was work first each day to winning a saleable listing. That's what Floyd would tell us. He would drive it into our heads. Work first each day to winning a saleable listing. But he also said something that was actually kind of comical with his tongue in his cheek a little bit. He would say, but most real estate professionals can probably double their business if they simply cut that phrase in half and start with the first couple of words, work first each day. And I always thought that was kind of profound and kind of funny. So, earlier this year, I kind of came up with this idea. I shared it with Jennifer. I shared it with Rachel. I shared it with Misty. Misty had just come on to our company and had partnered up with me in our business and brand new agent. And I started thinking, I've always appreciated what Napoleon Hill has said about masterminding. Where a group of like-minded professionals get together and they synergize with a balance of ideas and thinking and concepts, and they share them and they maintain accountability to each other. And I thought, gee, wouldn't it be awesome if we could just take those basic concepts of masterminding and having a group think tank, building in some accountability, building in some prospecting components, and at the same time sharing the overall idea that success is going to come easily if you simply work first. And now I'm going to say things that are probably right now. I'm going to make a statement, and ladies, if you want to yell at me, you can. I keep going back to 24 and 25 with this NAR statistic about 71% of realtors in those 2 years, 24 and 25, that didn't do a single transaction during the span of those 2 years. And my mind is like, what can we do to help these people? What can we do to drive their business forward? How cool would it be if they could get out of that 71% and start developing their business? And really, it all comes from that one simple thought process: let's work first. So let me share with you what we did. And we did a 90-day experiment. So this thing is completely and totally experimental. Would you agree with me, ladies? I mean,
Yes.
we just kind of thought this would be kind of a experiment. And during this 90-day period, now we do things a little differently because, tracking numbers is a very important component of what we do. But we track our numbers a little differently, and we kind of haggled this out, and we all talked about this. And we made the corporate decision between the four of us that the way we should be tracking numbers is by simply not closed sales, not closed volume. Okay, that's the byproduct of what we do. What we should be tracking is signatures. How many signatures we get? How many transactions do we get? How many listings? How many sale contracts do we write? And how many buyer controlled sales that we write? So those are the three things that we track: listings, sales, and sold listings, kind of the way the Floyd Wickman Group does it. And we thought that, well, if we track that measures our activities, and our activities are the things that drive our business forward. Okay. If you don't do the activities, you don't have results. We've heard this, 1,000 times, good business is developed through the small tasks that we do on a day-to-day basis. Okay. And that's really kind of what our mastermind is doing. But let me share some of the numbers. So these four, I use the word misfits because, we're really not misfits, but it sounds kind of funny when we say it. This group of four people right here, with a variety of years of experience and a hodgepodge of, business practices, in our 90-day experimental period, this group did $14,550,823 of signed business. Now, that's not closings, but that's written business. Now, you can't go to a closing unless you've got a listing. You can't go to a closing unless you've got a buyer sale. Okay. You've got to do the activity to get you there first. So in that 90-day period, over $14.5 million in transactions. Okay. And this group of four people did 36 transactions. And I'm very proud to say that I was at the bottom of the list when it came to productivity. These guys all did better than me in every single aspect, which was just freaking awesome. And here we are 2 weeks into our second semester, which we decided we wanted to continue our experiment. And in the first 2 weeks, we've already done 7 signatures, 7 transactions, and $5,773,987,000 in volume. All of this was developed by simply working first. And we do things that are a little differently. I'd like to ask the team to maybe just quickly share a couple of the things that we do, because we do a couple of things that are a little different. So would you guys like to share those things?
We get together twice a week, but on Mondays specifically, we get together and we kind of talk through any issues that we're having or ideas that we have, any things that we've heard, in the real estate world that we want to discuss. But what I love is how we make our calls on Zoom. So we're all on this together, and we know that we're all doing the same activities. We know that we're not alone. And I think that that's a really big benefit to this group.
That's
We
awesome.
do.
Group prospecting
Yeah.
really is awesome. Now, Misty, you tend to be the technical person on everything, and I don't know where the group chat came from. I don't even know where the group chat came from. I don't know how that happened, but here we are in this group chat. And would you share with our viewers what the group chat does?
Well, the the group chat just kind of keeps us all intact. And we know, especially with me, if I have a question about something, because I'm the new girl on the block. I mean, I'm down here on the bottom corner, but I'm the new kid on the block. And like for me, that group chat is essential because if I have a question or I'm questionable about something, or I have, something that I'm just not, I know what to do, but I just need that reassurance as a realtor. I'm able to put that in that group chat. And I mean, between the three of you guys, you are on it like that. And I have my answer. It's just like Chat GPT, but with the masterminds.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Real
And
human brains.
yeah. And Rachel, I can't wait to get into questions, especially with you. I can't wait to get into questions and sharing your very unique business model, because when you share your successes through the group chat, to me, it's particularly inspiring because your successes are like, wow, they come out. I can't wait to get into your questions. So if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to go around the horn and ask each of you a couple of very specific questions, and you can share it with our viewers. And I am so hopeful that our viewers, who may come from a hodgepodge of different sales worlds, maybe not specific to real estate, I hope they can take something out of this, and a couple of questions might really unveil a few things with the Work First Mastermind. So Jennifer, I'm going to start with you. So when we first started this experiment, your first question to me was a little bit of an eye opener, because I really didn't have any preconceived notions of where this was going to go. Can you tell our audience what that question was and what my response to the question was?
Yeah, when you first started telling me about this idea of putting, a group together, I thought that it was a really interesting idea. And I kind of wondered, where is this coming from? Where is this stemming from? And I thought, more importantly, where do you want to go with this? Do you have an end goal in mind? Do you have an end game in mind, for this? Because, with your longevity in the business and the numbers you've produced, you've been at the top of your game for a long time. But one of the things that you always said to me, and you've coached quite a few realtors, in your past, one of the things that you would always say to me is, well, who is going to preach to the preacher? Meaning that people go to church on Sundays to hear the preacher, but who's the preacher, hearing from? And it's been the same for you. You've always been pouring into others. So who's pouring out to you and who's holding you accountable, I think is really kind of where it came from.
Yeah. One thing that's unique about all four of us, thank you, Jennifer, is that although Rachel and Jennifer work for fairly large companies, Rachel, you're on a huge team. Misty and I are kind of like, we stand on an island. We definitely stand on an
Literally.
island. You know, uh,
We do.
we're first of all, we're a virtual company, which means that we don't have an office of bricks and mortar. So our whole business model is built virtually, which seems to be the way the industry is going, which that part of things is cool, but we're not in a physical office environment every day. And that makes us a little different. And we're a very teeny weeny company. There's just a handful of us at Blue Chip Real Estate. So we definitely are like lone wolves, and we kind of stand alone. Rachel, you work for a big company and you're surrounded by a huge team of people, and you've got an awesome business model. And Jennifer, you work for a relatively large company as well, but you choose to work from home most of the time.
Mhm.
Not
Kind of
not all
half
the
and half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, standing on an island sometimes is a little bit painful in sales, because you don't get that luxury of, camaraderie in an office environment. Misty and I, we don't have that. So this group kind of filled that hole in a big way for us. So second question to you, Jennifer. So what has the Work First Mastermind done for you, for your business?
Hmm.
And what has it done for you personally?
So for me, I feel like it kind of eggs me on a little bit. I know that there's three other people out there that are doing the same activities that I'm doing that I'm doing every day. And the fun thing about it is that, we each bring to the table our different personalities, our different strengths, and our different weaknesses. So we can share our approach to situations, kind of go into what Misty was talking about earlier. We can share our different approach to situation and activities that we're doing and really glean, from each other. Like you said, I am an individual agent. So although I do have an office that I can come to, I do kind of stand alone on an island myself as well. And I have friends in the business. Yes, I can pick up the phone and I can call them and run ideas by them. But I love that we have this group where, we can just text each other throughout the day, ask questions, talk about our wins. It's kind of like our own little team, but we're not an actual
Yeah.
real estate team. And so I love that. And when we do have a win, and we text each other about it throughout the day, it really encourages, the rest of us. And I would say, that it definitely has helped my business grow because I have just a little bit of a competitive streak. I'm not super competitive, but I do have a little bit of a competitive streak in me. And when I know other people are producing, like I want to produce too. I don't want to be the one that's not. So it's really helped me with that a lot.
That's so awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. So this next question's for you, Misty. So I've just been watching you since you came to work for us and started this whole thing. And I'm just blown away. And the story about how you came to Blue Chip was, kind of crazy by itself. And here we are, just a few months into it. It feels like you've been with Blue Chip forever. So you, by far, are the newest agent to our profession. Okay. I'm trying to get away from that, using that word, our industry, our profession. You have the least amount of experience, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, because I'm finding that your newness to the business is just making me think more than I've ever thought before. And it's very refreshing for me. So prior to joining the Work First Mastermind, can you tell us how many transactions that you had before you joined this group?
Before I joined this group, none.
None. No, zero
None.
transactions. Okay.
0 transactions. Had a lot of
Okay.
contact, but
You were doing the activities.
I was doing the
You hadn't-
activities. I was doing it. I was working, I was talking to people, but couldn't get that signature. So we're counting signatures.
We're counting signatures. Now, since you've joined the Work First Mastermind, which is only 90 days old, well, actually, we're 90 days and 2 weeks.
I've
Almost 2 weeks.
had 9 transactions. And
9 transactions.
I'm working on one now.
Right. Yeah, right. And there's this 10th one that's kind of developing. So
Misty
9
keeps us on our
transactions,
toes.
9 signatures. Okay. And clearly you are not going to be one of the 71 percenters that we want to really help,
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah.
No. I wanted out of that club.
So
I
you
wanted
went to
out of it quick. And that, and that's why this group has helped me so much because I'm accountable. Like Jennifer said, we make our calls on Mondays and we see each other right here on this camera, kind of just like how we are right now. And, we're talking to people and we see each other talking to people and we see the hand movements going. We see the pens writing. We know something's going on.
I'm
So
so
we're
glad. I'm so
accountable.
glad. I'm so glad you brought that up, Misty, because one thing we left out to our viewers is that part of the Work First Mastermind is, I think we would all agree that it's fundamentally built on making calls.
Mhm.
So we make a lot of calls. We call people we know and we call people we don't know. And we should get into this question about what the calls have done for us, because we make a lot of calls when we come in on Mondays and we're on that Zoom call and we're looking at each other and we're all on the phones, we're all talking. You can see each other, doing group prospecting, because that's really what we're doing is group prospecting. You can see the emotion on the camera. You can see I'm sure you guys always watch me when I go, I got to win, because I always look for the win.
I'll do my thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs up. I got one. I got to win. I got a success. So the basic fundamental piece of Work First Mastermind is working first, making calls. Now, I'm all about different types of technology. We all are. We all have social media presences. We all have website presences. We all have a Google presence. We all have that. But I think the thing that sets this group apart is that we have overcome the challenge of the fear of the phone. The phone is our best friend. It's been that way since the phone was invented. And here we are, utilizing it to really develop new business. I am going on a listing appointment tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock right here in Brunswick County from somebody that I started calling in January. I started making calls to this woman in January. And now I have a listing presentation for a $425,000 listing tomorrow. All as a result, thank you guys, all as a result of picking up the phone and calling somebody I didn't know. And, we all have our whiteboards. I've got mine. And I look at all that business that came, through working first. And it's like, wow, we're not sitting around on our laptops waiting for the lead to pop in on a lead generation platform. We're not making a Facebook post and thinking something magical is going to develop on that Facebook post, because we know it won't. Okay. We're going kind of old school and we're having great success with it. And we can get into that at another time. So, Misty, my second question to you, same as Jennifer. Well, no, I have a question before I asked the one I asked Jennifer already. Were you intimidated by
Absolutely.
joining a group of seasoned people?
Absolutely. I mean, you've got 40 years, Rachel's got 9 years, and Jennifer has 11 years of experience. And I've only been doing this for 7 months, guys. I was like, you guys are just going to bury me. But it's been the complete opposite. I mean, you guys have kind of lifted me up to help me grow as an agent. I mean, that's the pure honest truth. I'm humbled by it because, if it wasn't for you guys and Bob, of course, I wouldn't be able to grow into, being a good agent because, I'm an overachiever. I mean, go big or go home. Bob knows this. I mean, I tell him all the time, go big or go home. I mean, I don't want to be the typical realtor. I want to be the realtor.
That's awesome. I mean, it's like music to my ears. I feel like a proud papa. You know, Misty, one of the things that really impressed me about you is that you are fearless, and being fearless is such a good component in sales, in any kind of sales. But you have just shown the three of us how jumping into it full tilt has done just great things for you. And look what it's done for us. You guys hear me preach the Get by Giving philosophy all the time. You have been giving so much to us just in your zeal and your passion and your exuberance. We just love you for that. And thank you so much for doing that. So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Jennifer. What has Work First Mastermind done for you personally and for your business? What's it done for you?
Well, it's helped me get 10 transactions and as far as my business. But I mean, the relationship that this group of four, our group of four has been able to bring to the table. It's obviously, helped me because I had 0 transactions until we started this group. And you're telling me that I've kind of, kind of put the fire in you guys. You guys brought the fire into me because maybe it was the competition. Maybe it was because I was hearing Rachel's $1 million plans. I'm like, well, if she can do it, why can't I? Jennifer, you got a good listing here last week. And I was having a down week because I'm like, what is going on? Why can I not get anything? And then, you came on and said that you had a good week with your commercial listing. And I was bummed out because I'm like, what am I doing that these 3 people are, Jennifer and Rachel are not? Well, I was down and I'll be the first to admit it. And Bob knew it. And he just kind of let me cool off for the day. The next day I call him and I had 2 listing appointments on a Saturday. And then I called him on Saturday and I'm like, I got 2 more on Sunday. Because all it took, there was one thing that it took. It took the fire for me to figure out, every one of us have a niche, Rachel has her niche for her business. Jennifer does, Bob does. I'm still growing. I don't know what my niche is, but I found it.
Well, I think you found it big time. Big time.
So, in that week, that was like on a Friday. And by that Monday, I had 4 listings.
You exhausted me over that weekend. I was exhausted.
And I would call Bob and I'm like, he would listen to me and I would tell him about it. And I'm like, but there's more. Open.
That happened like several times over the span of that weekend. It was like this unveiling.
But within a week's time, I had 5 listings in a week's time. And it was all from one thing. And that was building relationships by phone calls, picking up that phone and calling.
There you go. And for our viewers, sure, you might see that as primitive. You might see that as old fashioned, but good agents do it for a reason.
Yep.
Because it works. So I can't wait to get to you, Rachel. because you have completely amazed me. And as usual, you're sitting there quietly, which has been my number one observation with you. So you and I had some one-on-one coaching
Hmm.
for about a year,
Yes.
maybe a little longer. I'm not really sure how long it was. And I remember when you first asked me if I would do some coaching with you, and I said probably not. And I knew you were disappointed when I said no. And then I agreed. And I said I'd be glad to do that if you did two things. And thing number one is you would not pay me. Okay, because we get by giving. And thing number two was that you had to follow some ground rules. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, but one of those primary rules is that you had to show up for your coaching call every week on time and prepared and with your numbers. And I have never met anybody that has done it like you. You were on the phone before me, ready to go to work on your call, ready to get coached. You had your pencil and paper on your desk. You were taking notes and you were reporting numbers. And even though, you were a very seasoned agent, you've already been in the business for some time, and you had a pretty strong business going. We really spent a lot of time with real basic stuff. What'd you say?
Yes, we got back to the phone calls.
We went back to the basics, and Floyd Wickman always taught me, and thousands and thousands of other agents. When the going gets tough, the tough go back to the basics. But we really did a lot of very fundamental dialogues. We did really basic, basic, dialogues and some old fashioned script type of things. And some of the stuff that we did was kind of remedial. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I guess so, but it was something I needed in my business at that time. I was thinking about it when I was reading the question earlier, like, why did we go back to basics? And it was really because my business, like when I started, that's me how I started, doing the basic stuff. But then when you get busy and then you get momentum and you're getting those referrals from repeat clients and things like that and then when things slow down, you're like, well, what do I do? So going back to the basics was what I needed.
You know, I, that's music to my ears. And I, I'm going to brag on you a little bit, because when I first started this with you, I was like, oh man, this woman, she's doing okay now. What does she need from me? And I started to get to know you and we started getting into this, and I discovered something that I've never seen in any agent ever. I saw in so I'm going to brag on you, and I'm hoping that your team leader, I hope that Jim Allen is listening to this at some point. I hope you share this with him. Rachel Withers, her superpower is listening. You have this incredible, amazing mechanism somehow in your psyche. I don't know how, but you are a remarkable listener. And when you're in front of a buyer or in front of a seller or of any kind of prospect, what better tool can you have in your tool bag than hearing what they're saying and digesting it and waiting till they complete their statements and their conversations and then engaging solutions? It all comes from good listening skills, and you have it like nobody I've ever seen. And I think that's what's making your business thrive, is that you just have that unique, uncanny ability to be there attentively in front of your prospects. And I just so appreciate that in you. So, Rachel, you have you and your team, of course, have a very interesting business model. And I hope that you can take a minute to kind of share what your business model and your niche is, because you truly have a niche. And, we've been working on that niche a little bit. Can you share that with our viewers?
And like, definitely. So I would say that the Jim Allen Group definitely has helped me get into that niche is something that Jim Allen himself pretty much kind of created in this area where he's looking for land to develop into communities or infill lots for tear downs. And he does like the get by giving. He realized he couldn't do this all on his own. So he has a team and he's trained us all on his team how to look for a land. And for me specifically, I gravitate more towards the infill properties in more of our areas, like in the Beltline, North Hills, North Ridge, North Raleigh area for these lots that I can present to builders to purchase so they can build houses on them. So
It's a great niche, and you are with the perfect team to pull it off. And you have definitely kind of thrived on it and developed it. And you also started developing a little group for your sphere of influence. And the way what is it called again?
the Luxury Insiders
The
Group.
Luxury Insiders Group, which is
So
amazing.
yeah, so once we get that dirt to our builders to build on, a lot of times it's not in the MLS right away. It's just there. We don't know when it's going to start building, but we kind of have our own internal, what I would say, what MLS for our team. So
Mhm.
we have properties that really nobody else knows about. And that's what the Luxury Insiders Group is about, is presenting these to potential buyers that they can find by
Yeah.
contacting me.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that Jim recognizes the talent and the work that you're doing, what it brings to the team, and I'm sure he does. But it's been very impressive, for all of us because your numbers are crazy. Um, the amount of signatures you bring in is pretty impressive, and one of the things that we did not share with our viewers is that all four of us are licensed in the state of North Carolina, but we are not in the same markets. Okay. We're in different markets. Okay. Misty focuses her business a little bit inland, off the coast. I'm definitely the beach guy. I'm on the beach. Jennifer's in the Johnson County market and surrounding suburbs, and Rachel's in Raleigh. And these are four pretty different markets, but we're all in North Carolina. So, I would think that, for people that want to do something like this, viewers of ours that want to do something like this in a mastermind, you got to have some kind of cohesion to the group. And being in the same market would probably not be good, but being in the same state probably would be good. I'm just thinking out loud there. So, Rachel, same question that we asked Jennifer and Misty. What has the Work First Mastermind done for you, for your business, and for you personally?
Well, I would say, like, personally, I just love the interactions that we have with each other. Like our group chat, I'm always getting that ding that I got a text message and, somebody needs help, or cheering for somebody that got us another signature, or sending the good word that I did. But, we're all just encouraging each other. And then for the business side is the accountability. I too have a competitive spirit, and goals that I set every year for my business, and just knowing that, everybody else is working and on that same plan to get more listings and more buyers and more signatures. It just kind of excites me. Like last week I was on vacation, but
Yeah.
I still zoomed in to be part of our group because, for real estate, doesn't really take a break during vacation. And I just need that encouragement, to keep going.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that. And I'm pretty confident that our viewers will pull something out of that. That's really the accountability component is very, very key. Misty
Mhm.
promised me she wasn't going to call me one day over the weekend until I got a listing. And I was like, you know what? I need a break from Misty. I'm going to stay home and sit by the pool for a while because I got to shut up.
Uh, well, Bob, I'm just going to interject here. You've gone around and asked all of us, what has the Work First Mastermind done for us, in our business and for us personally? But I'm sure our audience would love to hear from you as well. What has the Work First Mastermind done for you, your business, and you personally?
I love that question, Jennifer. Well, it's done a number of different things for me. You guys, I'm probably at that age where I should be thinking about going down an exit path. And for the last several years, I haven't really felt like I've been working. I know I'm working. I get up every morning, I put on a suit, and I get on the phone and I make my calls and I go on listing appointments and I show house, just like all of us. I do the same thing. A couple coaching students here and there. So I'm doing that, but I really haven't been in recent years really feel like I've been working because I just love this industry. I love this. I'm not using that word anymore. Love our
Profession.
profession. I love our profession. But what it's done for me, okay, so it's given me a little bit of life. It's given me this purpose. I'm a firm believer that, in the Get by Giving philosophy, we cannot get until we learn how to give. And I'm feeling like I've got this new sense of purpose in giving. Although I've always been pretty much a giver, I've just got this new sense of purpose, and it's helped me grow my business. And then I've got this accountability piece with the three of you that brings me to a place like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be a leader, but I don't want to let them down, So I got to bring numbers, I got to bring numbers just like they do to the call every week. So it's giving me this newfound passion that was kind of lacking for a while. And here it is, 90 days into it, almost $15 million in volume by four goofballs in North Carolina in different markets. It's just kind of funny. Personally, I love the accountability. I love the idea that there's somebody watching me. And when you've got three people watching you, it brings you up to a different standard. Remember that anybody, a trained monkey, can jump over a low fence. Anybody can have low standards. But when you've got high standards and you have a specific system in place that helps you get to a level of production that you want, your standards go up, your quality of service goes up, and your purpose, you have a purpose. I feel like I've got a purpose, and my purpose is to continually help you guys. And I think that's kind of like where I'm hopeful that other viewers, maybe other real estate professionals, other loan officers, other people in sales at different, wherever their sales world might be, might embrace this a little bit and learn what we learned, and see if it brings them to a place that they're, going to feel good at. So if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to ask some rapid fire questions because we're spending a little bit of time here. I want to do some rapid fire questions to the group and just shoot out your responses. I just want to hear what they are, and hopefully our viewers will get some. So we kind of touched this a little bit, but do you guys really feel like you're lone wolves in your business, that you kind of stand alone? Do you guys feel that way?
Absolutely. Especially being an individual agent. Yes, I do come into the office, somewhat, but, I don't, like I said before, I didn't really have anybody to bounce ideas off of unless somebody happened to be here, but you guys are always there. And so that's been super beneficial for me.
You feel that way, Rachel, sometimes?
I feel like I did before I came to my team, but my team is a very work first team. We have a staff here Monday through Friday, so I always feel encouraged when I come in the office, and I usually come into the office every day. So, but
Nice.
I love having the group because it's just smaller. It's just nice
Yeah.
to have that.
A little bit more intimate. Yeah.
Mhm.
Missy, what about you? Do you feel like you're standing alone on an island?
No, not at all. Not now. I mean, I've got you, I'm not afraid to pick up the phone and call you if I have a question, obviously. And, the accountability is everything.
Ask if does the Work First Mastermind kind of alleviate some of that, feeling that you have about standing on an island and being a lone wolf? But obviously for you, it does alleviate it because it helps you. That's awesome. I was going to ask that as my second question. So here's a good one. I keep going back to the 71% group, and, I don't know why my mind is drawn to that, but what have your observations been when you get up every morning, you put on your suit, and you start working? What are your observations when you simply start your day by working first? And what I mean by that is that many agents start their day by winging it. They might have their calendar, but their calendar looks like a diary. They don't have a specific plan of business action for the day, for the week. But we have a very specific business action, and that action is to work first. So, what are your observations about waking up every day and starting your day by working first?
I can take that question. I'll get it started. And honestly, we could do like a whole nother podcast on what I'm about.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But when you decide, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my activities. I'm going to make the calls, write the notes, whatever it is that your activities are, which it needs to be making phone calls. Here's the thing. When you spend that hour doing that, you may not necessarily get a piece of business directly from those people that you called within that hour. you might go 2, 3, 4 days without getting something, but then you're going to get that out of the blue call from somebody else, or somebody that you spoke to referred you to somebody else. And it's like all the activity that you've been pouring out comes back to you in the form
Without a
of
doubt.
business. Yeah. And I think that that is super important. You've got to be doing the activities, because if you're not doing the activities, you're not going to get the results. And keep
That's
in
right.
mind that the results don't come directly from that specific activity all the time, but it all works together. Yeah.
Once again, music to my ears, because, we know that activities turn into transactions, and Floyd taught me decades ago, it's not the calls you make, it's that you make the calls.
Yes.
And, we've taken that to a different level, but what about you, Rachel? Your observations about just simply getting up in the morning and working first. And the reason I ask this question, it makes me wonder, and I see so many agents that I know are good, capable agents, good people, knowledgeable, really good, but they go 2, 3, 4 months without a transaction. And I got to wonder, what are you doing? I mean, like, how do you spend your day? What are you doing during the course of your daily day? I mean, are you waking up and, putting on your business suit and doing anything? It's hard to imagine that you're not doing anything that doesn't involve working first. What are your observations, Rachel?
Well, I can't speak for what the 71% do, but I do know that working first, starting your day with that, just kind of puts you in a good momentum. You just, kind of lay out, like make a plan of who you're going to be calling that day, have a goal, like how many calls you're going to make, and then just keep going at it.
Yeah. It puts me in a good mental space, knowing I
Hmm.
have an action plan for the day.
And
You know,
and it feels like you feel like you accomplished something. Hmm.
absolutely. What about you, Misty? What are your observations about starting your day by knowing that you've got to work first? What are your observations?
I mean, we're in a time where nothing is free. Nothing.
God.
If
No.
you want something, you're going to have to work your butt off for it. And, I mean, if you like the four of us have a passion for real estate. So, I mean, that's my momentum. I mean, I that's my passion is real estate. So, I'm going to work for it. I'm not going to wait for somebody to hand me leads. I mean, Bob, you don't hand me leads. I work for them leads.
That's right. That's right. I appreciate that so much. That's just like in the blue chip model, we don't do that. We're self-generating. And by the way, the best lead generation system that you could ever have is a good listing.
Hmm.
It's really that simple.
And a
Nothing.
sign.
Yeah,
Yes.
a sign is the byproduct.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's right.
But
So
can I just say something really quick? And I'm going to step on some toes here when I say this. But a lot of times I'll see realtors and they jump from company to company to company to company. And it's because they feel like this company is going to promise them leads and this company is going to,
yeah,
give them all this business. No. In
yeah,
this business, you sell yourself, and it is up to you to get your own
that's right.
leads. Don't ever depend on a company for that.
That's right. You've got the tools. The tools are right here.
Right.
The tool, the number one tool. Guess what? The magical number one tool is working first.
Your
That's the
mouth.
that's the
I think that's like a big thing people misunderstand with teams, that you're going to just be handed leads. Well, would say we have more resources, but you have to work. Like on my team, we have to do so many open houses a month, and we have to do phone duty a month, and that's where a lot of my leads come from. So you have to look at it as an opportunity
that's right.
to work first.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And I know
Yeah,
coming from being just a new realtor, I mean, I've only been in the business for 7 months, and new realtors coming in, I don't think that's something that's taught to you is how you have to handle building these relationships and how it takes time to build these relationships. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, you've
Mhm.
got to work to get them relationships and that trust built. It's just not something that can happen overnight.
yeah. Those are magical words. Thank you, Misty, for sharing that. So, two more questions. If you could give one piece of advice to our viewers that might be considering doing something along the lines of a work first mastermind, if you could give them one piece of advice, what would it be?
You need to be with people who are committed and who are going to show up and who are on the same wavelength as you for whatever your drive is. You've all got to be on an equal playing ground. And I think that's the beauty of our group is we want it and we show up and we do it. We don't make excuses.
That's right. Like-minded professionals. What do you think, Rachel? If you could give one piece of advice to somebody that might be thinking
Well,
about this.
Yeah, mine was similar to Jennifer's. Is you have to find like-minded people, people that have goals, that are motivated. Put some sort of structure into place for a mastermind group. Show up, or you might not be a good fit.
Yeah. As Les
Yeah,
Brown would say, you got to be hungry. I don't know if
you
y'all have
got to
ever
be,
seen that video or not,
you
but
got to be
yes, you got
hungry.
to be hungry.
Misty, one piece of advice for our viewers that might want to kind of think about something like this.
I mean, we have 4 people here who serve 4 different areas, and we all have our different niche. And I just think that variety, bringing them our variety of what Bob put together in this group is
I
just
didn't
like
put
the
this
perfect
together,
cake.
Misty. Thank you for that. But I did not put this together.
Well,
Y'all put
I mean,
yeah.
we all had some type of connection to you. I mean, I work under Blue Chip Real Estate. You coach Jennifer and Rachel. So the connection was you. But I mean, in your mind, I don't know how your mind was working when you started thinking this mastermind group. I mean, but I mean, it's just like the perfect, like when you're baking a cake and you put all them ingredients together. I mean, we've got, the type of group we have, we can lift each other up. We've got over with your 40 years and Jennifer and Rachel's, I mean, over what, 60 years of experience in real estate. So,
It's awesome. It's
or
awesome.
more. I don't know.
Thank
You
you.
don't need to, give
Yeah.
away age or anything, do you? But I mean,
Thank you,
I'm
Misty,
just
for
saying,
sharing
I
that.
mean, just having that multiple, I mean, me as a newbie, the new kid on the block, and with all your all's years of experience in real estate, I mean, it's just like the perfect cake. I
Well,
mean,
I'm going to say this. I think that what you have brought to this group has been far more impactful than what we brought to you. I mean,
yeah.
I'm going to say that. I mean, you have brought so much to this group and so much to me. You know, I get excited when you get excited, and that's kind of cool.
Except for when I call you and tell you, if you don't get a listing appointment today, I'm not talking to
Right.
you.
I was kind of using that tool to get a day off, but it didn't work.
No. Accountability, Bob, accountability.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. So, in closing, I'd like to share a few thoughts with our viewers that, if you're kind of considering starting a group like this, which I think would be just so cool if there was some traction that we could help you with. And I'm not sure how we could help you, but we're glad to. We're all reachable. You could always DM us or like or subscribe, and we'd be glad to get in touch with you online, offline, whatever is easy for you. So please like or subscribe. And, maybe we can help you and maybe we can help each other. That's what it's all about, getting by giving. We share our ideas freely, share them freely. And, Floyd has always taught us that when asked the secret to our success, we will gladly take the time to share. And I think everybody on this group would overwhelmingly say that. And that's why we're doing this podcast. But I want to share 5 things with you. And Jennifer, you had already mentioned it. If you wanted to kind of develop a group of your own, well, certainly, you have to have like-minded professionals. You all have to have a common thread of a direction that you want to go in. So, choose your people carefully. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Understand the importance and the value of group accountability and group encouragement. We do it through our group chat, celebrating each other's successes and sometimes celebrating a few tears. But the importance of group accountability and group sharing of successes and encouragement is a big component to having success with any mastermind. The importance of group activities. Okay. We make calls together as a group. We jump on, we jump off. We're kind of doing the same call all the time. We're on our Monday, 10 o'clock. We're on our Friday, 10 o'clock. We share. But the group activity piece is very, very strong, because if you aren't doing group activities, you'll never do individual activities. And it's activities that stimulates signatures. So stick with the signature goal and do it by a group activity. Hey, no real estate coach will tell you tracking numbers is critical. And there's a million different ways you can track them. Okay. There's going to be a lot of our listeners that are going to say, I'm not sure if I would track it the way you track it, but we track it this way for a reason, because we want to track activities. We don't want to track dollar volume. Closed volume. We don't want to track that as much. It's important, but it's not as important as tracking activities. So make sure that you have a mechanism to track your activities. And here's the final one. Success comes in so many different ways. And many of our viewers have heard me say this before. It's Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world. Success can be defined in many, many ways. But failure can only be defined in one way. Failure is man's inability to reach his goals, no matter what they are. So when you have a success, no matter how small it is, share it. Share the success. Hey, Rachel, I just had a great phone call with somebody. I think I got in a door on Tuesday at 2:00, but maybe it was 4. Share those successes. Those are little wins. And when you're in a funk, nothing pulls you out of a funk better than sharing a success, getting a success and sharing a success. And, my great friend and my mentor, my coach, Mike Palin, always said, you're always going to be in one of 3 places in your business. You're either going to be going into a slump, you'll be in a slump, or you're coming out of a slump. You're always in one of those 3 places, going in, coming out, or dead in the middle of a slump. And the best way to get out of a slump is to get a little tiny win. And that little tiny win could be something small and so insignificant. But the real satisfaction that you get is when you share that success. And I'm so glad that we get to do that together as a group. So I'd like to open this invitation to our viewers. And I know that sometimes these podcasts get a lot of people watching, which is awesome. So please feel free to reach out to any of us. You can start it by me. If you got a specific question for Missy or Rachel or Jennifer, it doesn't matter. We'll direct that question. And we would love to share how we do this. We would love to share the way that this worked for us. And our hope and our fervent prayer is that we can help you do something similar. And we're not doing this for money. We're not doing this for recognition. We're not doing this to gain anything other than getting by giving, because we all believe in the get by giving philosophy. So if you want to like our podcast, if you want to subscribe to our podcast, wherever it might be, or you have any questions for the group, we'd be glad to get those questions answered for you. And we hope you take the time and opportunity to do something similar. And I want to thank you 3 ladies. I know that we are a oddball bunch, but it's been so refreshing to spend the last 90 days with you. And I have one last question before we sign off to our viewers. Do you guys want to continue this for another semester?
Yes.
I would
Absolutely.
like
What? Yeah.
Okay. So a big resounding yes. The Work First Mastermind in North Carolina is going to continue for another semester. And hopefully, in the next 90 days, we share our success again. And thank you all so much for being part of this. And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching Keeping It Real in Coastal North Carolina. And we hope that you found our podcast helpful. Thanks so much.